Week 5 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to drop this week. The first guy, Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's surprising, one of the top prospects in all Major League Baseball, and obviously in the Cardinal system after having a 12-game hitting streak early in the season, and a guy that they deemed ready to play in the majors, that they sent him down pretty quick, was Jordan Walker. So on the season, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, 274 average, and a 321 on base. So right here, Walker, he was playing good baseball, I believe, for the St. Louis Cardinal team. And he does qualify at third and outfield, but right now, while he's in the minor leagues, in redraft leagues, I definitely would drop him, is Jordan Walker. We don't know when he's going to come back. And they have a slew of outfielders over there, but obviously they went with Taylor Motter over there in St. Louis. Tyler O'Neill, they still believe in, even though he's another guy that's on this list as well as the video goes on. That would have dropped. So Jordan Walker, like I said, I thought he handled himself well. I thought he was pretty decent, had the 12-game hitting streak. I know the strikeout rate was a little bit high, 20 strikeouts and 73 at-bats, but a lot of youngsters strike out a lot, and a lot of big-time hitters strike out a lot nowadays as well. But right now, Jordan Walker, unfortunately, in the minor leagues, and there's no timetable for him to come back up. So he would be a drop this week. The next guy to drop this week's Brian Anderson of the Milwaukee Brewers. So Brian Anderson, the first few weeks of the season, got off to a hot start, but he's really fizzled out now over the last 2 weeks here. On the season, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, 16 runs scored, a 255 average, and a 330 on base. But the last 2 weeks here for Anderson, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a 239 average only, and a 300 on base. So right now he's striking out a ton, is Brian Anderson. 34 strikeouts already this season in 98 at-bats. And this Brewer offense, it's been a hit-or-miss type of offense this season here. Some games they're going to go off, and some games they have trouble scoring. And right now, Brian Anderson's definitely in a tailspin the last few weeks. April 25th versus the Tigers, 0 for 4. April 26th versus the Tigers, 2 for 4, running 2 RBIs. April 28th versus the Angels, 0 for 4. April 29th versus the Angels, 0 for 3. And April 30th versus the Angels, and that one 1 for 4. So right now, Anderson's still owned in 68% of fantasy leagues. I know he has good versatility at third and outfield, but right now he's not getting the job done. And in fantasy baseball, sometimes you got to make that quick decision, especially if you're down in the standings early. So right now, while he's not producing, and no doubt about it, he could get back going, is Anderson, and get on a hot streak once again. But right now will be the time to drop him this week. The next guy, Tyler O'Neill of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Tyler O'Neill, it was an off-season for him last year, and so far this season it's been more of the same. Not really producing. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a stolen base, a 241 average, and a 300 on base. Already 30 strikeouts in 83 at-bats here for Tyler O'Neill. And he's a guy we know that's got big power and strength, but it just hasn't come to fruition now over the last few seasons. Last year, a 14 home run year only with a 228 average. I know the year before he hit 25 plus home runs, but the magic hasn't been there for O'Neill. And he's pretty much a player swinging for the fences right now, I believe. He has one of the hardest swings in all Major League Baseball, is O'Neill, but he's not making good contact, and he's just striking out a lot. April 25th at the Giants, 1 for 1 with a run and a rib. April 26th at the Giants, 0 for 3. April 27th at the Giants, 1 for 3. April 29th at the Dodgers, 0 for 3. And April 30th at the Dodgers, 0 for 2. So another thing, he's not playing every day. About 4 or 5 times a week we're seeing Tyler O'Neill out there. So right now he's really struggling, and he's not doing much. He's another guy definitely could turn it around as the season goes on and he gets into things with the warmer weather coming up as well. But right now, well, he's not producing, and I don't know if he's going to turn it around for sure after last season having a bad year. Right now, he's a hitter I would drop in 10 and 12 team leagues, is Tyler O'Neill. The next guy, Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers. So Green, one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball over the last couple seasons, but he's not a guy that can hit lefties, and he's not producing at all on the season. 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 13 runs scored, a 234 average, and a 293 on a base, and already 37 strikeouts in 107 at-bats. So Riley Green, he's not making good contact, he's not showing the power, and he's not stealing bases either, which he did a lot of in the minor leagues. Right now, he's prime time batting second in that Tiger lineup, but this Tiger team possibly could be one of the worst offenses, if not the worst offense in the league. It's close between them, the Athletics, and the Washington Nationals. So the last few games here for Green: April 25th at the Brewers 0-1, April 26th at the Brewers 1-4, April 27th versus the Orioles 1-4, April 29th in a doubleheader versus the Orioles 3-8, a run and an RBI, and April 30th versus the Orioles 1-5 with a run. So right now, pretty much nonchalant and not doing anything for fantasy owners is Riley Green. Definitely he has upside. He's definitely a young player, but it's not transitioning to fantasy stats or on the field for this Tiger team. So right now, while he's doing nothing, he's an easy drop this week. And I've mentioned Green a few times on the list already this season, and the fifth and final hitter I look to drop this week is MJ Melendez of the Kansas City Royals. So Melendez, I know, has great versatility, and he's a big asset if he could hit, but right now he's not hitting with qualifying a catcher, even though he starts every day for the most part in outfield. On the season, for Melendez, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 9 runs scored, an awful 174 batting average below the Mendoza line, and a 267 on base. I know last season the average was low at 217, but he showed pop with 18 home runs and 62 RBIs, but right now the average is way low. The power isn't there with only 2 homers, and the 10 RBIs is nothing at all. So right now Melendez, I know he's batting 3rd or 4th in the lineup for this Kansas City Royal team, but he's not producing. And like I said, if you're down in the standings early, or if you need bats and there's some decent guys on the waiver wire, this is the time to drop Melendez and pick them up. April 26th at the Diamondbacks 1-3, April 27th versus Minnesota 0-4, April 28th at the Twins 1-5, April 29th at the Twins 0-5, and April 30th at the Twins 1-2. So right now Melendez, he's not getting the job done. He's not hitting for power, and he's not showing much for fantasy owners. He definitely could turn it around, but right now he's a hitter I would drop. So that's a few hitters I look to drop here in Week 5 of the fantasy baseball season.